I was 15 years old and I had just left home a few months before seeking enlightenment with an Indian guru. And I was in her ashram and I met an American guy who had converted to Sikhism. He was a Sikh. Those are the guys that usually wear all white and then they wear a white turban. Sometimes they get mistaken for Muslims, but they're actually a sect of Hinduism. They are an ancient warrior sect, but also very, very spiritual. This white guy in the white turban and the white clothes, very sweet and gentle man, was talking to me one day. He was asking me what my spiritual name was. And I said I didn't have a spiritual name. A lot of people in the ashram would ask the guru for a spiritual name, and the guru would give them an Indian name, a Hindu name that was usually connected with spirituality or with a deity. But I had never done that in the 3 months that I was there. And I didn't really have any interest in it. It didn't seem to matter to me. It didn't seem important. After all, what's in a name? That was my approach. But the Sikh had a very fancy name, a very fancy Indian spiritual name. And he was telling me very earnestly that it was really important to get a spiritual name because that name would embody some spiritual quality that you had that you needed to bring out or embody. After talking to him and having him tell me so earnestly how important it was, I decided to ask my guru about it that evening after the main part of the public program that my guru would be giving, where she'd be talking and there'd be chanting and meditation. During the period we call darshan, which is an ancient practice in India where a guru will greet people personally. Usually there'd be a line of people that would come up and bow down to the guru and sometimes offer things and ask a question or just receive a blessing from the guru. And that was how every public program would end for hours. Sometimes my guru would be sitting there greeting people who would come up in this line. And so I decided to go up in the line that evening and ask her about spiritual names. And when I got up in front of her, I said, I was talking to a Sikh man today, and he said that getting a spiritual name was really important. Is it really important to get a spiritual name? And you know what she told me? This is like the whole point of this video. She looked at me and said, do you think it's important? And I said, no. She went, all right. So she didn't tell me what was important or not. She asked me what was important or not. This is my experience also with my spirit guide, I guess you could call her. I have like a spirit guide who I call the goddess. It's a feminine presence who feels incredibly loving and wise and very intimately connected to me. When I call on her, in my mind's eye, I turn my attention inside and I call on her, she shows up. She's always incredibly loving and positive and just beautifully intimate. It feels like we've been together forever as like a couple. And she's interactive in my mind. I talk to her sometimes, ask her questions sometimes, and in my mind's eye, I see her responding. I don't see it super clearly. And depending on how much focus and clarity I have in the moment, I might see it more or less clearly. But sometimes I see it pretty darn clearly. And there's a strange phenomenon that happens with her, very similar to my first guru, is that when I'll ask her a question, she usually puts it back on me. Should I do such and such? I'll look inside, see what my goddess says, and she'll usually say, what do you think you should do? Or sometimes she just looks at me silently and kind of expectantly, giving me the message that she wants me to answer my own question. She wants me to look inside and make a decision. She doesn't tell me what to do. She doesn't boss me around. She doesn't try to take away my free will. This is how a true guru, a true spiritual teacher, a true spirit guide will behave, in my opinion. If God didn't want us to have free will, then why would God have given us free will? God's not trying to like direct our every action and every movement. Surrender to a higher power isn't slavery. There's still room in surrender for creativity because the surrender isn't to something outside of us. It's surrender to our own divine nature that is connected to God or merged with God inseparably. In that state of surrender, the divine will flows through us, but it doesn't take away our creativity and autonomy because, guys, that's the entire purpose of the universe. That's why there are other beings, individual beings, not just one divine being sitting around on a planet somewhere. There's infinite numbers of beings so that the universe can explore every possibility from every angle and perspective. And so that the creativity of the creator can manifest in all these little individual units or mini me's of the creator. I wanted to say that about surrender because in India, they recognize that surrender is the highest path, the fastest path. When we let go and surrender to our true nature, what's left to do after that? Not much. Everything happens automatically. And there really is a response from the universe. A lot of times we might think, oh, if I surrender, no one will be there to run my life and take care of things and feed the cats and pay the bills and stuff. In my experience, that's not really how it works. To the extent that we surrender, to that exact same extent does the universe step in and guide the show. But we have to surrender first in order to know that. The universe isn't going to prove that it will be there for us before we surrender, because then there's no surrender happening. We're just sort of like letting mama or papa take care of everything for us. Surrender is letting go of the self-centered will and letting the will come from a deeper place, from that spark of the divine inside of us that's connected to all things and connected to God. And if we go even deeper into it, it's not just connected to God, it is one with God. And if we go even deeper than that, then there's levels past that. So surrender is not slavery. We're not giving away our will. We are giving away our self-centered will. But our higher will, our divine will, divinely connected will, the part of us that knows our connection and knows love and joy and peace, that part of us, that's what steps in. And then we're like co-creators with the divine. God's not trying to enslave us. Spirit guides and true gurus won't try to enslave us. Surrender doesn't have a nice ring to it in today's society.
Why so man? Weak? So weak.
It sounds like we're capitulating with the enemy almost. We're going to give in because we're getting beaten up by something. But that's not what this surrender is. It's really relinquishing what we are not, embracing the joyful, peaceful, loving reality of what we really are. And in my experience, creativity, this unique individual thing that we're here to share with the world, that doesn't go away in surrender to ourselves. It just actually, the runway gets cleared and that creativity can flow unimpeded or nearly unimpeded as we are allowing it to. I'm not saying all this to you as some self-professed master of surrender. I'm not a master of surrender. Wish I was. Still very much on the path, not some master of anything. But, I've bunked around on the path enough years that I've learned a couple things. And this is one of the things I've learned about surrender.